Welcome to the Creditverse, helping you discover a new universe through credit. We have with us today the foremost expert in the entire universe of credit, Dr. Michael Grayson. Thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate it.
The pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
So just to kind of give people a background in who you are, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background as it relates to credit, some of your accomplishments, and maybe just some things that you have done.
Okay. Well, let's start from the very beginning. So I studied engineering and math, and I worked, I had a scholarship to go to University of Virginia. When I graduated, part of it, I had to work for DuPont, who gave me my scholarship to go to school. So I worked for them, but as an engineer, I was in a room with 100 other engineers, and really our job, I don't know if I could say this on air, but our job was to reverse engineer someone else's patents so we can create products that were, above their patents. But I did that I was required for 2 years. I did that for 2 years. And then afterwards, I decided to shop for another job. At the time, my Mercedes was giving me a hard time. I lived in a real exclusive neighborhood in Maryland called Columbia, Maryland, but I was in a gated community. And the cops kept saying, "Hey, your muffler's too loud. We're going to tow your car if you don't get it fixed." And at the time, I didn't have money, and I had just quit my job. So I started looking for jobs that offered me a free car. And so I was looking for engineering jobs. Now, at the time, I think as an engineer, I was only making about $40,000 a year. But it just so happens that the credit industry was in the process of converting over to the FICO credit scoring model. So they were leaving the merit-based system into an algorithm-based system. So they were looking for mathematicians to help sell the industry on the idea of switching to a scoring model. Now, primarily our job is to show you how to be profitable in this new scoring model, because now, before, I don't know if people remember, banks used to advertise their rates. So on a given neighborhood, there might be 3 banks and they're lowering their billboards.
Right.
Their billboards, we're down to 2%. It was a real competitive environment. But the FICO system brought the promise of secondary finance and subprime finance and how to make money based on math. So now you're not competing to sell at prime. You are making money based on loss performance ratios, that kind of thing. So they needed someone in that industry. So I ended up working for them for quite a while. They paid me a lot of money. Even though my friends who are mathematicians, and engineers, they made fun of me because they were like, when are you going to get a real job? Now I'm making, a lot more money than they did, but they were teasing me because they felt like, hey, you were supposed to be most likely to succeed. You're the best mathematician, blah, blah, blah. But so when I retired from the credit industry back in 2000, just as a pure math exercise to kind of show my friends that I hadn't lost my math expertise, I reverse engineered the FICO algorithm and wrote the first algorithm for credit restoration, which still stands as the standard today. So that's really how I got started, and it really worked out well. I was retired. I made enough money, and I was, doing some other real estate investments. So I was planning to go back into the engineering, but it turns out that everybody needed credit. Credit literacy was like non-existent. And, the more I began to teach credit literacy, the more contact I had with high-level people. I was chairman of the honorary chairman of the Business Advisory Council under President Bush for a couple years. I won the Congressional Leadership Award 2 years in a row. I did a class here in New York for every elected official, took my credit class. I did a class for the Department of Defense for their high-level executives. It took me a lot of places. I taught a workshop at the summit for all attorney generals in the country. I championed, I called it Perfect Credit Prevents Crime. So that was a class I taught to attorney generals. So I got to see, and in 2015, I got an opportunity to speak before Congress on access to capital. So it was me, the CEO of Experian, and I don't think they kind of really received my message because I'm always a straight shooter. And so these guys were saying, hey, lending is a problem. We need small businesses to get money. We're trying to earmark all of these programs. How are we going to do these things? And so, the Experience CEO gave his 2 cents. But I came to them, I said, listen, you guys are not serious about empowering small businesses and giving them access to capital, because if you would, the first thing you would say to them is credit. Small businesses are powered by their personal credit. It's not corporate credit, it's personal credit. So no matter how much money you spend on empowerment programs and different programs, I got an opportunity to review some of their largest funded programs. Some of them, I'm not going to call them out by name, but one of the biggest maybe in the country, their primary motive is to help small businesses get access to capital.
Right.
Now, their budget is crazy, millions of dollars. So when I audited their books, I saw that their penetration rate was less than 5%. So
Wow.
You go into all these classes, they teach you how to access capital and all these things, and then they're supposed to help you get loans. But when they help you apply, the last step is to pull your credit. No one ever qualifies. So I made a joke, which again they didn't like. I was like, look, if you just took your budget and divided it amongst the businesses that you're helping, you could get a better penetration rate. So I'm very candid about things like that, and people, sometimes they don't like that, but I've been very fortunate. I made the cover of RE Wealth magazine. They voted me the world's leading credit expert. They said that I have helped more people become millionaires than anybody else in the country. That's kind of misleading, though, because it's easy for me to make you a millionaire. All I got to do is get you the 800 credit score. Get out of here, people.
Okay.
Once I get you the 800, you are a millionaire in this country.
I need you to repeat that. You went way ahead, but we're going to go. I need you to repeat what you just said. You said did you say it is easy for me to make you a millionaire?
Everybody. In this country, once you hit 720 FICO, and it can't be 719, I know that's a good score, or I got 711, or I know people are happy with 700. 720 is the marker. Once you hit 720, you have access to capital in America, and you can easily get $250,000. So it's a sliding scale up to about 800 FICO. The most funding one of my clients got purely driven off credit was $2 million. And it was funny, but this client was our client that we gave the highest credit score in the world. So he went into his bank. He was negotiating to get a loan. They had turned him down originally. He went back with his perfect credit score, and it was funny because the manager was doing his app, keyed it in, and his score returned a no-doc loan. And the branch manager was like, I didn't think we did those anymore.
Wow.
So he got approved for $2 million no-doc. So having the right credit score helps you, navigate those kinds of environments. So I've been very fortunate. Unfortunately for me, which I'm trying to correct with the credit verse, I have maintained high-level client base. So high net worth individuals, billionaires, millionaires. You'll see celebrity testimonials from me on the internet. I want to reach the average person who is feeling the credit crunch. So the credit verse is designed for the everyday people, working class Americans who need a relief from the cost of credit.
Wow. And if they missed it, Dr. Grayson said on camera, it's easy for me to get you 250,000, $1 million, $2 million, maybe not, but how much do you need? If we can get that done for regular people, that's an incredible thing. So you talked earlier about credit restoration. There's a lot of people on social media right now.
Yes.
Credit repair. Everybody has a credit repair person. This is my credit repair person. They're fixing my credit. Can you just talk about the difference between credit repair, which is out there in the ether, and what you do in terms of credit restoration, or what I heard you term as credit power also?
Okay. All right. So that everybody knows, credit repair as a construct died in the year 2000. It died. So why did it die? Because in the year 2000, this country and every industrialized nation in the world switched over to the FICO credit scoring system. So how does credit repair work? Simply take your credit report, everything that's negative, the credit expert writes, not mine. They write not mine, it triggers a response at the credit bureaus. Ideally, they have to investigate those items. Anything that doesn't get verified instantly within 30 days, it has to be deleted from your credit. So credit repair used to be a very good strategy because the companies could not respond fast enough. It's deleted. Now, the problem invariably is at some point they will respond and the credit bureau may choose to reinsert those items. So they still had reinsertion problems, but for 2 or 3 months, you were a hero.
Right.
You know, I could get that new car. I could get a new house. That's all people want. So fast forward to where we are now. So take a look at this. I'm going to prove this to you. I want you to Google this. The 2 largest credit repair organizations in the country, Lexington Law and creditrepair.com, just got fined $3 billion for consumer fraud.
You said $3 billion.
I said 3 with a B. Google it for yourself because it's hard to believe. I think actually it was 2.7 billion, but close to $3 billion. Do you know how much fraud you have to commit for the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau to say pay a fine of $3 billion? That means they have been getting over. So if the 2 biggest companies on the planet doing credit repair are committing whatever, what does that say about all those people that have ads on telephone poles? They're on TikTok. You know, what people miss is the TikTok folks say stuff that's exciting. There's 2 ways to do this. You can do it emotionally or cerebrally. So emotionally, it sounds good. Now, when I try to do it, it don't work, but it sounds good. It's like people say, I've seen people say, use the SCN, secondary credit number. And if your credit's bad, use the SCN in place of your credit, your Social Security number, and you can buy stuff.
I've heard that.
They're absolutely correct. If you replace your Social Security number with a SCN number, which they sell on the internet, you will create the mechanism for the algorithm capturing the number to create a credit file does use your Social Security number as a major portion of that numerical strand. So it will create a new credit report from you, and you can start building credit under that new credit report. This is the problem. The federal government got hip to this years ago. And so on every application, it says, please insert. It used to say, insert your identification number. I don't know if some of you remember that. I'm a little older than most of you guys probably. But all applications in the country used to say ID number. Back then, you could kind of get away with it. But they got hip to that. And so now it says Social Security number. So if you put any other number in there, guess what it's called?
That's fraud.
It's called bank fraud. Guess what? If you use that SCN number, you'll learn about 3 other new letters, FBI. I dare you to use that and buy a car or something. It's all right. Let me tell you what happened to one of my clients. They used the SCN number. This is a pastor, a famous pastor. I'm obviously I'm not going to say who, but famous pastor, because he got sold the concept. Now, unfortunately, he defaulted on the car. As soon as you default on it, the first thing the bank started doing is a system called DTEC. DTEC. And DTEC tells you if the Social Security number is real, because most SCN numbers are dead Social Security numbers or those kinds of things from dead people. So they detect him and they said, this is not your real Social Security number. We're going to call, they sent him a letter. We're going to call the FBI. You will do a minimum of 2 years in jail. Now, fortunately, he brought that to me and I was able to resolve that with the lender. But that is the problem that you run into. But it's so easy to fix your own personal credit why would you do it? But again, you have to use the strategic methodology that we're talking about today. But credit repair, simply saying that's not mine and hoping it falls off. Think about this. If you go to Lexington Law commercial on YouTube, play this commercial for yourself. Don't believe what I'm saying. In the commercial, they have their best client, and their best client's doing a testimonial. And he said, listen, I've been working with you guys for 4 years. You did a wonderful job. I'm going to say that again. I've been working with you for 4 years, and you did a wonderful job. You got me up to 700. It took them 4 years to get their best client to 700. Okay, need I say any more? What about the rest of their clients? So some of their clients, it might take up to 7 years to fix their credit. What's funny about that? Well, they charge you $99 a month. So if it took them 7 years to fix your credit, you have paid them $8,400 to watch your credit fix itself. Because after 7 years,
that's right,
your credit fix itself.
Yes.
So if you're going to somebody to fix your credit and they tell you, you should ask them specifically, this is your fault, it's not theirs. How long is it going to take you to give me ZDC? Zero derogatory credit. Not fix my credit. Don't use some industry vernacular that is ambiguous. How long does it take you to fix my credit? Technically, if I remove one inquiry, I fixed your credit. That's the trap that they use on you. Ask them, how long is it going to take you to get to zero derogatory credit, and watch what happens. You think there's thousands of people in the credit repair business? Ask them, how long is it going to take me to get to ZDC, and see how many you have left. You'll be left in the credit verse.
So if I ask you the same question, Dr. Grayson.
3 to 6 months on average.
3 to 6 months.
On average, 3 to 6 months. I can get anybody to 700 in 3 to 6 months on average.
Wow. Well, listen. Well, let me ask you this. You mentioned FICO earlier. We're talking about credit, obviously. Yes. We may have viewers who literally do not know what FICO is. If you could just go into who or what is FICO, what are the credit bureaus, and how is your what's the formula for your credit score?
Okay, excellent. So this is an excellent question to start out. It's income tax season right now, but for most people start thinking about how to fix my credit and pay off all my bad debt. So the first thing you do, whoever's helping you with your debt or your credit, the first question you should ask them is, what does FICO stand for? I used to do a ton of workshops before COVID, hundreds of people, and I would ask them, what does FICO stand for? And people would look around like, federal. Okay. FICO stands for the Fair Isaacs Corporation. If your financial professional does not know that, run. If he doesn't know that, run. That is the company.
Run to the credit verse.
Run to the credit verse. Very good. If he doesn't know the name of the company that created the system used by everyone in the world, then that is obviously a problem. The reason it's important to know their name is because they're mandated by law to teach you their system. That is the trap. So we switch from credit repair to strategic credit restoration and development in the year 2000. Most people don't know because Congress mandated that they teach you the system, but you got to go to them to teach you the system. That's why if you ask people what does FICO stand for, they don't even know their name. It is one of the most powerful companies in the world, and you don't even know their name. Now, if I ask you what does NFL stand for, you got that one, right?
Absolutely.
But the company that controls where you work, how much money you have in the bank, what your job title is, where you live, you don't even know who they are. Fair Isaacs Corporation. So their claim to fame is they took an analog system and turned it into an algorithm. So your algorithm takes your credit data and turns it into a number. And currently that number is ranging from 375 to 850. 850 is now the highest credit score. It used to be 990
990.
It used to be 990, but when I broke that algorithm, we were cranking out 900s, and I guess they got mad and changed the system.
You said you were cranking out 900s?
Yeah, we have the record for the highest credit score in the world, which is a perfect 990. Before I did it, they said it was a theoretical maximum. But it's only theoretical if you don't know the formula that controls your credit, which we're going to teach that to you. Once you know the formula that controls your credit, it is impossible to have bad credit. It's impossible. You got to want to have bad credit. So the formula which you mentioned is key to everything. If I ask you about your credit and you don't mention the algorithm, how are you going to help me? Get out of here. You know this. If you go to the Fair Isaacs website, myfico.com, they will tell you that your payment history is only 35% of your score. So if you remember from grade school, 35% is still an F.
That's an F.
Think of how beautiful this system is. I'm taking people who pay all their bills on time, and I can still give you bad credit. Man, that is nice. I have a system where if you pay I have clients all the time that pay every bill on time, and they still have bad credit. Because now I'm not asking you for your payment history. I'm asking you for your credit score. If you don't know the algorithm, how do you know? Unless you check your credit every day, you don't know what your score is. You have an estimate, but you know how many people I talk to every day that say, hey, I'm in the 700s, I'm in the 800. I said, no problem, send me a copy. They said, Doc, I need that 250. I said, no problem. If you're over 720, I'll have you 250 in under 2 weeks. Send me your credit report. Oh, Doc, I don't know what happened. I'm in the 500s or I'm in the 600s. That's because they don't know the formula that controls your credit. So in the old system before 2000, if I say, how's your credit? I'm saying, do you pay your bills on time? If you say, yes, I pay my bills on time, you can honestly say to me, yes, I have very good credit. We're in a FICO environment now. So in the credit scoring environment, you have to know the formula that controls your credit. Otherwise, you can't answer that question. You think your credit score is good, but you don't know from day to day. Credit scores are going up and down all the time. Excellent question.
So I have another question based on a conversation that we had.
Okay.
You referred to it a few minutes ago. You referred to something that called bad debt.
Okay.
And I've heard you say that people are paying or funding their own bad credit.
Oh, yes.
That's the craziest thing one of the craziest things I've ever heard, one we're going to talk about later. What do you mean people are paying for their own bad credit?
That is maybe the most important point that you could make, that if people get this one thing, you could save everything. So listen, in this country, there's two kinds of debt. There is bad debt and good debt. And people are like, no, duh, where you get this guy from? Duh, good debt and bad debt. No, you think you know the difference, but do you really know the difference? Good debt is any debt that is less than 120 days past due. Good debt is any government-sponsored debt, like student loans or taxes, or good debt is any secured debt. If it's secured, it's automatically a good debt. Those are the debts that we pay or settle. We pay or settle good debts. Bad debts we filter. That is it. You never pay a bad debt in America. Not if you're a citizen. Not if you know better. Only, I'm going to say this, and I say this with all due respect, only crazy people pay bad debts. If you owe, if a collection agency comes to you and say, hey, you owe me $800. This happens every day. You owe us $800 for this other credit card you didn't pay for, right? And you pay them $800, you have just bought bad credit. So you must really love your bad credit because you just bought it. Now you come to me and say, Doc, can you get this off my credit? I'm going to say, listen, you paid them. You just made it much more difficult to remove that from your credit. So you have bought bad credit. Part of our argument, if you look at some of the stuff we're going to post in the credit verse, It'll show you how to handle debt. So we have the creditors remove the items from your credit. We don't lie to creditors or lie to the credit bureau. If you say, hey, that's not my account, come on.
That's your account. You know it's your account.
You know that's your account.
You didn't pay them.
You didn't pay them. How long you think that lie is going to last? You know? So we are not lying to creditors. Our argument is this. After 120 days, you canceled the debt. So if you cancel the debt, I can't pay it.
You mean the company canceled the debt?
The company canceled the debt. Almost, I would say 99% of all debts, I'm talking about corporate debts, are canceled after 120 days. So I know you think that they sold it, but I want you to ask some of your lawyer friends, can you sell a debt that has been canceled? Or you think they hired somebody to collect it? Can you hire somebody to collect a debt that has been canceled? Ask somebody that you respect, a professional, okay?
And it doesn't even make sense. Why would you pay a debt if it's already been canceled?
There you go. So the first question you should be asking anybody that's saying you owe the money is the debt canceled? Most people are kind of, like I said, they're crazy in this area. And that's not a negative comment on you. It's on our society that it won't teach you this stuff, until the credit verse.
That's right.
And I got to commend these guys from the credit verse because they are bold. They're like Star Trek. They're bravely going where no man has gone before. They're bravely going. Because let me tell you this, the credit bureaus are actively seeking out people giving good information and trying to destroy you. That's why I'm in court with Equifax right now. They only promote knuckleheads. People who are on TikTok giving you crazy stuff that doesn't work. Man, get out of here. Equifax wouldn't let you, or the credit bureaus wouldn't let you stay on the air giving good information. They're coming for you. They're going to attack you. They support different fake experts that are constantly feeding you bad information. If it was just a matter of credit repair disputing all your negative stuff, why would 80% of you have bad credit? Come on, people. You say you don't know how to write a letter. I can't write a letter. I know it means having perfect credit, but I can't write. So clearly there's something else going on. So in order to be good in credit restoration, you have to understand the laws. It's called debt filtration. There's debt filters. That's different government laws and programs that help you cancel debt. So the debt cancellation aspect is the single biggest thing. So please, if you owe collection agencies, I'm going to say something that's really scary, and I hope you guys don't get offended. If you owe the IRS some money, don't pay them.
Okay. That's the way to go.
Oh, okay. So, but listen to what I'm saying. If you owe them money, you filter it. You don't pay it, you filter it. The IRS has one of the best debt filters on the planet. If somebody say, oh, I hate the IRS is evil, all these other conspiracy theories, they're the Illuminati, man, get out of here. The IRS is doing the job. The IRS is called Uncle Sam. Now, how many uncles do you have? You know how many people call me Uncle Mike? That is a term of endearment. Why do they call me Uncle Mike? Because I'm your rich uncle that pays stuff that you can't pay. That's why they call me Uncle Mike. Whenever somebody calls me, I get texts from people, hey, Uncle Mike. All right, how much is this going to cost me? The same thing with the IRS. In America, the IRS pays all the bills that you can't afford to pay. That's what they do. So you have, let's call it debt insurance. You just don't use it. Let me give you an example.
Please.
I taught a workshop for 2,000 pastors. This was a regular meeting they had. There was 2,000 pastors in attendance. They invited me to speak at this engagement. So I spoke and I was explaining the system of debt cancellation and how to handle debt and bad credit. And one of the pastors pulled me aside. He said, Doc, I don't know. It sounds like you teaching the Christians how to not pay their bills. I said, Pastor, no, I'm not. If you listen to anything I say, I'm in the access to capital business. You can't access capital with bad credit. I need you to pay your bills. When I set you up with a $250,000 line of credit or $1 million, I don't want you to default. These are my friends.
Right.
These are my friends at these banks giving you that money. So I want you, but this is what I want you to realize. You are an American citizen, theoretically. And a lot of people live here, but are you a citizen? If you have less than 680 credit score, you're not a citizen. But let me explain to you what I mean.
Okay, hang on.
Only citizens have 680 or higher.
I have my little paper at home. It says, you are a citizen. Please, you have to stop there for a second.
Okay.
What is that? What do you mean when you say that?
Okay, in America, in order to do business with America, you have to have a minimum 680 credit score. So a lot of people, like everybody say when you got a small business, I'm gonna go to the SBA and get some money. I had a client, let me tell you this. She went to the SBA for some money. Her business was flawless, beautiful. They make you do all these disclosures, special accounting statements. She spent about $12,000 preparing documentation for the SBA over the course of about 8 months. Finally, they said, yes, you're pre-approved. Guess what they do after you're pre-approved? They check your credit.
Wow.
After 8 months, after you spent 12 G's of money you don't have, now they're going to pull your credit. If you're under 680, guess what? I can't tell you, one of my clients was one of the biggest pastors in America. They had gotten a huge, crazy grant from the government to do some stuff for them, a huge grant. And he called me in a panic because the grant was in his name. Guess what you have to have in order to, even though it's a grant and it's free money, the government's still going to do what?
Check your credit.
They're still going to check your credit. If you're under 680, the grant is canceled.
Wow.
So he was in a panic because he was under 680. The grant was due. They were going to check his credit. So obviously I got him over 700. But to do business in America, like in New York, I had a couple clients who own construction companies. And in previous years, they had bad credit. Their wife had good credit. They put the business in their wife's name. But New York got slick on them. And they said, hey, you have to be an active member to be listed as the owner of the business, the construction business in New York. So all these guys randomly say, hey, fix our credit. So the government is very serious. I taught a class for the Department of Justice. I think I said Department of Defense earlier, but Department of Justice. And all of the Bureau of Prisons, all their heads came to this class because the Department of Prisons passed a mandate that said that all employees at a certain clearance level have to be 680 or higher.
All the employees
have to be 680 or higher. So anybody with high security clearance. So I've had some clients who were with the CIA who were in jeopardy. So before you lose your security clearance, so the federal government does random credit checks, like random drug checks. They do random. Now, I understand why the Bureau of Prisons do it, especially here in New York, because they have some of the highest profile prisoners in the world. So if your guards are broke and have financial problems, it's easy to bribe them. Here, get me in a cell phone, man. Take a couple grand. So they want to make sure you're at least at 680. So you have to have 680. So in America, if you're less than 680, you're not technically a citizen.
Wow.
You can't realize the benefits of being an American.
So that is incredible. Let me ask you, given that, let me ask you another question. Let's say I am person A. I do not have a 680. I am not a citizen of the United States. If I have bad credit, do I have to wait, when I get my money, I'm going to get a whole bunch of money, I'm going to fix my credit. Do I have to do that?
No, you've hit on that. Is if you ask anybody, that's why everybody wait for income tax season. If you ask anybody, if I say it only takes 3 to 6 months to get your credit right, give us a call. Come to the credit first. They're like, as soon as I get my money right, because they know this. You might tell me to file bankruptcy, or they know about consumer credit counseling. Consumer credit counseling, debt consolidation, and bankruptcy 13 are the three largest sources for people who have bad credit or debt problems. So if you go to consumer credit counseling, they're going to say, no problem, man. They're going to put you on a plan. It's going to cost you anywhere from $800 to $3,000 per month. So I'm going to need some money. And then it's going to take you 3 to 7 years. Same thing with bankruptcy 13 and debt consolidation. All these people are going to ask for money because they will not say, hey, let's filter your debt first. Maybe you don't owe nothing. So that is the problem. That's the problem.
So we had done some research on you. And two things I wanted to talk about, still kind of in this area. The first, and you can take them in whatever order you want. You mentioned the term virtual bank.
Okay.
That was very interesting to me. And then what is a PQB? Those are the two things.
I can't believe you went to the virtual credit bank. This is our first interview. Why are you going to the virtual credit bank?
Well,
and PQB.
Some of our people,
you really put me out there now.
Some of our people are, really just getting started, but we may reach people who are, really do this credit thing.
All right. This is the most dangerous thing that we're going to teach in the credit verse. This is the most dangerous thing that I talk about that big people hate. They hate it. The top 1% hate this. They hate Dr. Grayson for this. So virtual credit bank. So this is what we know. Once you're at 720, you can access $250,000. Once you're at 800, you can access $1 million. So again, if you're listening to this, you have 720, 800, you don't know how to get $1 million or $250,000, call us right away. Contact us, okay? But at 7, so this is what I did to get on the cover of Ari Welter magazine. So wait a minute. If one person is worth $250,000, what if I took my social network and turned it into a financial network? So I don't have a lot of family and friends, but I got 10 people that are close to me. What if I told 10 of them, let's all work together and hit 720 credit score? Now the 10 of us can put together $2.5 million in 2 weeks.
Wow.
What if I'm big on social media? I got 10,000 followers. What if I said, hey, followers, I'm starting a new financial network. Please join. We're going to use this network to take down major real estate and make millions. You don't need no money. All you need is a 720 credit score. What if you were able to put together 100 people like that? Now, wait a minute. 100 times 250,000. Now I can get some stuff done. So a virtual credit bank is 10 or more people who are tied together contractually. So it's got to be organized, which we will help you with this. You get 10 or more people. They all have 720 credit score. Your virtual bank starts. We'll do an official borrowing power index, BPI, on you. But your BPI will be anywhere from, if you got 10 people, it'll be anywhere from $2 million to $5 million.
Wow.
So you're starting out an investment bank with $5 million. All y'all work at McDonald's. You all work at McDonald's, but you have 720 credit scores. You now have access to 10 million. Why don't we buy a couple McDonald's? So that is what scares people about Dr. Grayson and the credit verse. Because now people are starting, because this is the one thing that we're going to teach you that nobody else will. Your credit is not for buying stuff. Stop buying stuff with your credit. Your credit is for investment. If you live in America and you're a citizen, you know that this is a debtor nation. So credit is the tool that powers the nation. And you using it to buy stuff. Man, you better get out of here. I don't buy no stuff. Listen, I was making 6-figure. I still lived in at that time I was living in New York in a one-room efficiency, and I'm making 6 figures because I'm investing my money in this prototype I'm building. I could have went on my credit cards and got a nice apartment, and nice this, and I ain't doing none of that. I have to get to a point where I can pay for it out of the profit. I'm not paying for nothing stuff out of my credit. I pay for it out of the profits derived from the investments that I got from my credit. So that's the process.
Okay, ooh, that's part one.
Part one, okay.
Part two, I know it's heavy, but PQB.
PQB, there you go. Okay, so the Chamber of Commerce did a study. You can Google it, Chamber of Commerce. It was a study on access to capital for small businesses. So I did a report, an expert report for President Bush, and I did another one for President Obama. Then the U.S. Accountability Office did their, we'll call it the real report, and it was comprehensive, and obviously they spend a lot of money putting it together. But the final analysis, the summary of this document is huge and crazy. Google it. It's huge. But what the summary is that in America, individuals will go to banks to borrow money. Banks will say no because they're talking about money, small business access to capital, not stuff. So you, as a small business owner or individual, you got a brilliant idea you want to invest. You go to a bank, they do not loan to you. You say, hey, wait a minute, this bank is prejudiced, or this bank don't lend to women. The criteria is too strict. When you talk to the banks, which the chamber did, when you talk to the bank, they say, listen, it is a lack of perfect, they say qualified buyers. That is what technical term they use, the qualified buyer. So we coined the term perfectly qualified buyers. So when you come to my company, when you come to the credit verse, we make sure you are PQB, perfectly qualified buyer. Don't come to me and say, hey, I need credit repair. Man, get away from me. That's not the business we're in. I'm not fixing your credit so you can buy stuff. I'm fixing your credit so you can access $1 million and do what God wants you to do. God's got a mission for you. If you live in America and you're not prosperous, I ain't even gonna say it. There's no excuse for it. I don't care where you work. I don't care if you're unemployed. Just get a 720 credit score and give me a call. That's all it takes. In America, if you're prosperous, once you hit 720, whether you have got it in your pocket or not, it is just a matter of time. I don't want everybody with 720 just to borrow $250,000, or if you got 800, borrow $1 million. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you have access to that. So when the right opportunity, and invariably, if you have a relationship with God, He gonna put the opportunity in your path. Man, I can tell you stories of stuff that we did with people. This one church where they made an announcement about the PQB, and one of their members had a patent. He only needed $150,000 to launch this patent, and so he came to us. We got to him $250,000. The first contract he got was with Walmart. He turned $150,000. He took $150,000 to build a prototype, then another $100,000 for his business. He turned it to a multi-million-dollar contract at Walmart. So that is what's standing between you and being prosperous, is being a PQB. Listen, if you're a friend of mine, half the time I talk to you, it's about being a PQB. Don't call me up and say, Doc, can I get $100? Can you co-sign? Man, I will cuss you out, and I'm a good Christian. I'm gonna still cuss you out. Let me help you become a PQB. That way you can loan me some money. But that is,
how about that?
Virtual credit bank. Getting people together is tough. I know that. But if you could do that, if you have a loyal following or good friends, you all got the same idea, let's be successful. Virtual credit bank. But everybody, if you want to be a real citizen in America, you should be a PQB.
Got it. Hashtag. Got it. You touched on this a tad earlier. You mentioned secure credit cards.
Okay.
Maybe for people who I don't have good credit, or I don't have any credit. Is this a good place to start? Should I do that? How much does it take? How much should I spend?
Excellent.
Where should I go to open a secure account.
That
if
is
I
the
do that.
only way to start. There's no other way, realistically. So you got to be really careful because there's a lot of people putting out bad information. So everybody tells you about authorized user accounts and they'll sell you these things. I think they're up to $1,500 a piece. That has a place, but that is not the recipe for building perfect credit. Banks are not slow. These guys are on their game. So if you hand them a credit report and you're a 720 and it's all authorized user, you think they're going to loan you money? Man, get out of here.
So it says that directly on your report that you're an authorized
It
user.
says it.
Wow.
There ain't no fooling these guys. It says that. So it's quantified so they already know. The lender knows that these are authorized user accounts. So automatically they're like, yeah, you got a good score, but. So they want to see a real trade line. They want to see a real one. They want to see, it's called primary, a primary trade line, which is for everybody secured credit cards. Let me tell you this. At our church, we teach a teen credit ministry. So most of our teenagers, when they turn 18, within 3 to 6 months, they have 720 credit score. So one example of that, 2 of our teens, I'm going to use an example here in New York because I'm in New York. I won't say their names, but 2 of their teens, they got 800 credit score. You know, they attended our teen ministry, and then they did like most people. They're like, Doc, what do we do now? We got 800. We hear you, but we got 800. My wife is pregnant. She ain't working. I'm underemployed. I got a basic job. You keep talking about millions. What do we do next? So I said, listen, the first thing, I don't want you to just borrow money because you have 800. Let's figure out a business plan. You know, what do you want to do? I don't know. I said, well, listen, your wife is an excellent cook. Every church gathering, she brings the food and sells it, and she sells out instantly. How about you start a restaurant? Okay. So they met on it, prayed about it, talked about it, came back to me and said, yes, we're going to open a restaurant. How much money can you get me? So the first phase of funding, we got them about $400,000, and they opened a restaurant right in Brooklyn, right on the main drag. I forgot the name of that street where all the upscale restaurants are. They are there.
Wow.
I'm not going to say their name, but they're on, they went right to Brooklyn. They didn't piece together their piggy banks and open a restaurant in the hood where they got, mismatched tables and all of that stuff. No. They went right to Brooklyn on the main drag and opened a beautiful restaurant that looks like a franchise. When you go in, you're like, wow. And you go in, they have a very diverse client base. I know most of them see these 2 young African Americans, behind the counter. They probably think, yeah, they work here. They own this place.
They own it.
And it's beautiful.
Wow.
So, yes.
That's tremendous. That is tremendous. Does it matter the institution you go to get a secure card? Does it really?
No, but I'm glad you brought that up. You own it. Be very careful. It's got to be a bank-issued credit card. Man, I'm glad you said that because everybody knows this. And so all these kind of scam companies are coming out with secured cards. They're not going to score. It has to be bank issued. If you have any problems with that, no problem. Contact the Credit Verse. We'll send you a list of bank issued secured cards. So bank issued secured cards, the minimum is $200. Ideally, we try to, if you have it, start with $1,000 if you can, but no problem. As long as you start, you have to get at least 2 credit cards. So part of the formula is you have to have a minimum of 2 credit cards in your wallet at all times and a maximum of 6. Let me say that again.
Okay.
Minimum of 2, maximum of 6. Because I wrote the algorithm, I know this for a fact. If you have more than 6 credit cards in your wallet, you have a problem.
Wow.
Nobody in credit repair is going to tell you that. So let me give you an example in real time. So one of my clients is one of the biggest managers in Hollywood. She manages A-list talent. She was doing some project. for millions, and for the first time, they said, let me see your credit. And she went into panic mode because she's in the 600s. Now, you're supposed to be one of the top agents in Hollywood. How am I in the 600? I'm a millionaire, though. So I don't really care about my credit because I'm a millionaire. But now people are looking at it. So I looked at her credit. She ain't never been late on nothing. She ain't never been late on nothing her whole life. Her file was very thick. But the problem is, as a female, a wealthy female, everywhere you go to shop, they say, hey, look, get this credit card and we'll give you a discount. Get this card. Get this card. She had 35 open active credit cards.
Wow.
35 of them. So I said, listen, I can have this fixed for you in a couple of weeks. Let me show you what I'm going to do. I want to close out. We're going to pick your top 6 bank issued credit cards. We're closing everything else. I said, what the heck? I'm going to say this anyway. Why do you have a Macy's card and they're charging you 30% interest and you have perfect credit? Well, they gave me a discount once. Okay, use it to get the discount, then close it. But I made her close all of them. Simply by closing off all that activity, her score went to in the 800s instantly within a couple of weeks. So minimum of 2. You start with secured cards, but I want to bring this up, and you kind of alluded to this. The secured card, you have to use it the right way. A secured card is really called a starter card in the industry. It's a starter card. Okay. It is not a credit card. Man, get out of here. You better not be using that thing like no credit card. They're charging you 39% interest on them things now. 35.99, something ridiculous interest rate. And we had talked earlier in the car about this, and so I'm going to mention this. The credit card trap for college kids. So when I went to the University of Virginia, as soon as I came out of registration, there was banks lined up as far as the eye could see.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
All of them giving out credit cards. Here you go. Man, listen, my mom was on welfare. I came here full scholarship. I ain't got no money in my pocket. I'm broke as the day is long. You hear what I'm saying? These dudes is passing out credit cards. I'm right there collecting. You know, I came with 2 of my friends from prep school. Their parents were millionaires. They're like, Doc, we'll catch you back. They call me Doc in college. Doc, we'll catch you back at the dorm. And they already had their parents' authorized user cards in their pocket. But those cards are designed to trap you. And let me tell you this. You know this. You're in college. You don't have a job. You won't have a job for at least 4 years. And these guys are still giving you credit cards.
That's right.
Come on, people.
That's right.
You don't have a job. And you won't have one. So why are they doing it? Because they know this. They're going to issue you a card for $500. You're going to take that card. You're happy. You're going to go out and celebrate. First thing I'm going is to the mall. I can't get to my keys fast enough. I got to get to the mall. What does $500 buy you at the mall? Last year's Jordans. So I buy last year's Jordans. I get home. I'm happy for a minute. Then the bill comes. It's $500. I don't have a job. Oh, I'm going to fix these folk. And they charge you over the limit fee. Right. They charge you interest. Now you owe $800 on last year's Jordans.
Right.
Right? Don't miss a payment, a missed payment fee. They're all over the place. So you're like, oh, you going to get me? I'm going to get you. And you tear it up. You're in college, right? I'll worry about it later. You graduate with terrible credit. But let me tell you how it's affecting you. I'm going to give you an example. One of my clients was at a workshop I did, and she started crying hysterically in the workshop. And I said, look, come on. I stopped the workshop. I said, let's step outside. What's wrong? She said her and her son had been fighting, right? And she spent their life savings sending him to college. And he graduated, I forgot what his degree was in business, but he was working at the airport in Atlanta. And she was going off on him. She refused to talk to him. They're mad at him. And then she realized, because he kept saying he's trying, but he had bad credit. So every high-level management job in the country, they check your credit. So you graduated at the top of your class, but you got less than 680 credit score. Ain't nobody going to hire you.
Not a citizen.
You're not a citizen. can't get a good job. Yeah, you can work at the airport and carry luggage. You graduate at the top of your business school. Get out of here.
Wow.
That's the trap.
So, Dr. Grayson, time is about on us. Is there anything you'd like to say to leave our viewers with? Any message, any parting message you'd like to leave them with?
Well, the credit verse is a bold step in credit technology. I want you to know something. If it's heavy on the internet, it doesn't work. Anything that's heavy on the internet doesn't work. We have a system of debt filters that we use. I could publish that on the internet. The industry would react instantly, violently. They would change everything.
Right.
The reason our methodology works, the reason I have all the credit records, the reason we can do what we do in 3 to 6 months is because they don't have our technology. As soon as we publish it, it becomes an issue. So stick with us. We're going to do something that nobody else does. We're going to teach you the system, but we're going to teach you in a way so that the industry doesn't react violently. But if you stay with us in 3 to 6 months, you'll have perfect credit and you'll have access to capital. I want you to try this tonight. Google colleges or universities that offer a class in credit restoration. Google it. Now, I'm a mathematician, and I'm going to tell you this. If you Google that, it returns a zero value, which is mathematically impossible. On Google, it returned a zero value. You will not find a single college, university, high school in the entire country that offers that. Now, Google this, just to show you what I'm talking about. Google colleges or universities that offer a class in knitting dog sweaters. Not knitting or crocheting, because a lot of them do that. I said knitting dog sweaters. And there's a handful of colleges that do that.
Wow.
But they will not teach you credit. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to end with this. So I developed a course, which we're going to teach on the credit verse. I developed it for universities. And initially, I offered it to historically black colleges. I offered it to all of them for free. I said, just teach the people, and I wanted to do this as a test run so I can open it up to every college in the country. Because at that time, I didn't understand what I was up against. And so the presidents of these colleges were very excited. And they said, we would love, the kids are going to love it. Every professor that we poll says that credit literacy is singly the most important thing in any young adult's financial life. So we love it. Now, before the first fall semester we were going into, all of them got the same phone call. I'm not going to say the name of the bank, but it's a big bank.
Wow.
Big bank.
No.
Big bank. Call the presidents personally. And they said, if you offer Dr. Grayson's class, we will pull our funding. They even, this is how evil this system is. They told them, listen, we'll even rip out our ATM machines.
Take the ATM machines.
They're going to rip out the ATM machines. So the presidents called me up and they say, Doc, we love it. Of course, we can't do it. They said the students don't support us as alumni. I said, they can't. You're graduating them with terrible credit. They can't get good jobs. I said, listen, if you just teach them, my parents said, go to school, get a good education. Stop saying that. Tell your kids, go to school, get a good education, and graduate with perfect credit. That's it.
Dr. Michael Grayson, thank you for visiting the Credit Verse.
Beautiful. I love you guys. Keep up the good work.